In the quiet house, the couple talked about Croy being asleep, still finding it hard to believe he was actually a boy. But the calm atmosphere was suddenly shattered by a loud scream from Croy's room, sending them into panic as they rushed inside to see what had happened. Croy sat on the floor in a frantic state, clutching a cutter as if ready to harm himself. He was breathing heavily, overwhelmed by fear that his mother would hate him if he didn't change. The tension escalated when his new father caring for him discovered Croy in this desperate act, shocked and crying out in alarm. 10 years later, a shelter building appears with a sign that reads, "Shelter exclusively for Code P." The atmosphere seems calm, but a serious conversation unfolds between two visitors. One of them asks if the other truly wants to choose the resident who has stayed in the shelter the longest, even though they could specify the desired age and gender instead. An older woman expressed complete indifference to the criteria of age or gender when making her choice. She was shown a child referred to as the veteran Livestock, the one who had stayed the longest in the facility. Meanwhile, the caretaker explained that younger children with less history were usually easier to find homes for. Croy knelt inside the cell, being asked to raise their face to be examined. Croy, now appearing older and more mature, sits against the corner inside the barred room, his expression somber and cold. The cramped space is filled with a suffocating silence, as if only the weight of their past remains between them. Croy, now 15 years old, sat quietly and obediently behind the bars while the caretakers discussed him. An imposing older woman evaluated his appearance coldly, recognizing his striking looks despite his difficulty being sold. At that moment, Croy was asked to present himself more clearly, and his dim, resigned gaze reflected his acceptance of the fate ahead. A man explains Croy's condition to a woman who is considering taking him in. He reveals that although Croy now wears male clothing, he was once raised as a girl, only to be returned when his owner decided she did not want a boy after all. Because of this trauma, Croy continues to harm himself, which unsettles people and leads them to return him no matter how many times he is adopted. However, the man emphasizes that aside from this issue, Croy is actually a good boy. The woman listens intently and then begins to address Croy directly. Croy is asked what he would do if he could become a perfect female. With an empty gaze carrying the weight of his past, he admits that he would ask his mother if she would prefer him that way. A faint, bitter smile forms on his face, reflecting his desperate longing for a love he has never truly received. The sly smile of the old woman revealed that she had already made her decision, while Croy, trapped behind the bars, could only stay silent in confusion and resignation. That day marked the beginning of a new ownership, as Croy was declared to belong entirely to Mama. A luxurious car sped away, signifying the start of a new chapter in Croy's life, filled with mystery and dread. During the ride in a luxurious car, the elderly woman, Yurikawa Junko, introduces herself as someone who lives alone, but claims to have a large family made up of livestock, like Croy. Croy's face shows unease as he listens, while the massive, imposing gate opens, signaling his arrival at a new place filled with secrets and uncertainty. A luxurious car stopped in front of a grand mansion with a vast courtyard and an ornate fountain at its center. The gates opened wide, signaling Croy's entry into a new, enigmatic world. From that day on, this opulent place was declared his new home, though the atmosphere suggested not comfort, but rather the feeling of being trapped in a gilded cage. Croy is finally brought to a grand mansion, where a group of people eagerly welcomes their mother home. They are instructed to greet Croy, who is introduced as their new companion. Nervously and under pressure, Croy introduces himself, realizing that he has now fully stepped into a frightening new family circle. Croy is introduced to Yurikawa Junko's new family. He notices a large group of people divided into two sides. On the left are individuals in flashy clothes, while on the right stand beautiful and handsome figures dressed in plain attire, yet striking in their appearance. Croy is surprised to see an old man placed among the elegant group. Soon after, a cheerful and lively girl named Chocolate is appointed by Junko to guide Croy to his new room, which is next to hers. As she observes him, Chocolate also remarks that Croy has a very pretty face despite being male. Croy walked down the stairs nervously, only to receive a mocking remark about his filthy clothes being dirty. Soon after, he was led into a large, luxurious room furnished with a bed, chair, and flower decorations. His eyes widened in shock as he took in the room, so different from the life he had known before. Croix stands uneasily as Chocolate, wearing a sly smile and piercing gaze, begins to speak to him. Chocolate accuses Croix of probably thinking he's lucky to have been brought there just because of his pretty face. But then, with a sharp tone, Chocolate makes it clear that this is a huge misconception. He cruelly explains that Mother actually despises people like Croix. The words strike deeply, leaving Croix shocked and filled with dread. His mind spirals, wondering if Mama will end up hating him once again, just like before. Meanwhile, Chocolate calls out his name sharply, amplifying the pressure and fear surrounding him. Junko suddenly strikes Chocolate, turning the atmosphere tense and unsettling. She then decides to place Croix on the left, a choice that fills him with dread. With an intimidating gaze, Junko calls him closer, revealing that special clothes had already been prepared for him. Croix finds himself trapped in a threatening situation with no way to escape. Croix is led into a room filled with luxurious clothing, ranging from elegant suits to beautiful dresses. Yurikawa Junko tells him he may wear whatever he likes, as if testing him. Croix is stunned, unsure whether this is an opportunity or a hidden trial. His gaze lingers on the rows of dresses, reflecting the inner conflict between his own identity and the expectations imposed upon him. Croix tries on a dress, but insecurity quickly takes over. He feels that his body does not suit the outfit, noticing his broad shoulders and flat chest make him look awkward. Despite his effort, he cannot shake off the feeling of inadequacy, convinced that his appearance fails to conceal his true self. His expression shows unease and doubt. Memories of past humiliation resurfaced, filling him with dread that he would once again be despised for not being truly female. His heart pounded violently, his breath uneven, swallowed by the shadows of rejection. Yet amidst his despair, a calm voice broke through, Junko's words, telling him that he looked very cute. That simple statement pierced through the darkness, offering a fragile glimmer of light to his tortured heart. Croix stood stiff as the mother approached, evaluating his appearance with an authoritative gaze. Words of praise were spoken, leaving Croix shocked and almost disbelieving, as if all his previous worries had collapsed in an instant. Tears streamed down his face as he felt accepted, though with conflicting emotions. Mother gently touched his face, declaring that Croix was now one of her beloved children, solidifying his place within this strange family. Croix is deeply moved as he is embraced with warmth and reassured that he is now part of the family. With tears streaming down his face, he repeatedly expresses his gratitude for the acceptance and recognition he has just received. In a quiet room, Croix sat with a woman who carefully prepared tea for him. He cautiously asked if the placement of the groups had anything to do with those who greeted the mother. From her explanation, Croix learned that everyone on the right side belonged to the so-called auction group. Attractive men and women bought with money to serve. In contrast, the left side was the shelter group, made up of those deemed ugly rejects who were nearly culled. Surprisingly, the left side held a higher rank, as the mother despised beautiful people. Despite Croix's doll-like face, he was regarded as an exception. Croix sinks into despair and self-loathing as he admits to being male and believes he looks awful in a dress. He belittles himself, convinced that he can't be cute, will never be loved, and finally understands why he was placed in the left group. Yet his companion insists that he should not change, introducing themselves as Juju, giving a sense of acceptance despite Croix's own deep insecurities. A child asks about Croix's whereabouts and is told that he went out with Mother. It is revealed that Mother intends to add a new member to the auction group, which is unusual. However, another child feels jealousy, recalling that they used to be Mother's favorite, but now her attention seems focused on Croix. Outside, the grand mansion welcomes a new guest in a formal and respectful manner. Croix is brought to a grand venue filled with guests, resembling a luxurious theater. A large curtain covers the stage as the crowd eagerly awaits the show. He notices shackles on his ankles, intensifying his unease. The mother calmly explains that they are about to witness the finest livestock. Beautiful people treated as commodities, something far beyond what could ever be found in a mere pet shop.